We're going to look at a couple of alternatives for student presentations, but they could also be used for teacher presentations in class. Now, we've all used PowerPoint, I'm sure by this point, and some of us have used Prezi as well. I'm going over Prezi and Powtoon in another video, so if you're not familiar with those tools, you'll want to watch that one. But right now, today, we're going to look at a couple of mobile app-based presentation tools, and specifically we're going to be looking at Flowboard, which looks like this, and HaikuDeck, which looks like this. Both of these apps are free to an extent, and by that I mean the apps are free. You have to create a free profile, so username and password, with the each of the apps. So with HaikuDeck, I have a profile with them, and with Flowboard, I have one with them. Both of them offer a certain amount of space for your presentations for free, and then allow the ability to upgrade. HaikuDeck is a little bit more limited in that regard in terms of what they offer or what they can do. Flowboard has several levels of accounts, so you can essentially create Flowboards, they call them, but essentially they're presentations like a PowerPoint that are as media rich as you would like, so including videos and other dynamic elements, but always creating them in a mobile environment, either on an iPad or on a smartphone of some kind, like an iPhone. So first of all, we're going to start with Flowboard. So I'm going to open that one up. All of these, or both of these tools, have tutorials that kind of walk you through what you're supposed to do. With Flowboard, I started with no presentation because I wanted you to be able to see these tutorials so that it's very easy to quickly make a presentation, and that's kind of the flip side of using a mobile app for a presentation rather than a PowerPoint or a Prezi, because with those tools, they can do a lot more, but you kind of have to know how to use them. With a mobile tool, they're much more limited in terms of what you can add in, like pictures, other files, hyperlinks, videos, that sort of thing. But they're really easy and very quick to create. So from the teacher side of things, if I need to create a presentation really quickly, it works better sometimes to use the mobile app. Or from the student side of things, it's sometimes easier to grab one of the iPad cards and have the kids create a presentation this way, rather than going through the process of using a PowerPoint or a Prezi or something like that, because they can do it quicker, and it kind of boxes them in a little bit so that they have limited options, I guess, in what they can do, which sometimes can be a good thing. So I'm going to start with this now. Flowboard, so I go and create, remember the plus signal being the new universal symbol for new, and then it gives me quite a few templates to choose from. Both Flowboard and HaikuDeck are based on creating things that are visually appealing. So you have templates that are pretty modern looking, and you can choose any of them based on whatever that you need. So I'm just going to start with this industrial graphic one, and I can preview it ahead of time, so it's going to load it. And then to advance the slide, I'm dragging my finger from one end to the other and sliding it over. And you can see that we can still put in pictures, so I have a picture. I have the ability to put in a video. Now this is somewhat limited in terms of what types of videos you can put in here, but for what kids typically use, it works well. It'll import video from a URL like YouTube, that sort of thing. It works fine. Here's your just basic slide where if we want to just put in text, okay, and then different graphics where I can show how I can arrange that. Now this background is set. Each template has a limited amount of background, so I can't go in and move these circles around, but I can put text over the top of it in the text box. So let's choose this one. Okay, and now it's added. So I created it. I'm going to add a title here. I'm just going to say sample presentation. and you can see that it gives me suggestions for autocomplete. Uses that. Alright, and then add screen. Well, a screen for them is a slide. So I'm going to go ahead and add one, and it's going to say, here are what we have available. So these are the ones that we've already got set up, or would you like something that's a little bit more from scratch, where you're going to have to put in the colors and that sort of thing. Generally, if you're using this app, you want something that is already set up, because that's the whole point of using it. And you can see these are the tools that I have available. So this here is turning it into a hyperlink. Okay, we have a duplication tool. We have undo or redo, so forward or backwards. Save, notice that they up into the cloud because it's not saving on your iPad, it's saving to your profile in the cloud. And then you can preview it and play it. To start editing it, I just click in, and now all of a sudden I have an editor up at the top, so I have different fonts to choose from here. I have my font size, I have my alignment, left align, center, etc. I have the color of the text and the background color, and that's all I have to work with. Again, limited options sometimes work better in these types of situations, especially if you're working with kids. And that's it. And then once I'm done and I've gone through and I continue to add, so say I've got things where I want them, I can add, say I want to add in a video, and where am I going to get that from? And I've got to pull it from one of these sources. Now, one of the useful things here for student presentations is the on iPad, because I can take a video on here and then pretty quickly link it in. One of the things to be careful with is no matter what type of video you're working with, and also no matter what type of program or app you're working in, you want to make sure that you have short videos, because the file size gets very big very fast, and the bigger the file size, typically the worse it works. Other common sources, though, YouTube works very well if you have the students uploading files to YouTube, or if they're just housing it within their Google Drive. Okay. So I'm going to click Done, and then I would go through and I would add screens as necessary. I can click Arrange, and I can drag and drop them in different orders very simply. And then finally Share. Okay, well, how do I want to share this? Now typically you're going to be housing them on the iPad, at least if you're making teacher presentations, because that'll be where they're quickly accessible when I want to throw them up on the screen with Reflector. If you want to share it, remember you're sharing it with either public, everyone, or restricted. Even if I select restricted, I can make it password protected, but then again they have to go to my site on Flowboard, and then we start getting into some of the paid options and it gets complicated. So you kind of have to think about how you want to use this tool, because it can kind of get you in the area where you start having to pay for a subscription or that sort of thing if you're looking to use it with all of your students regularly as more of a classroom tool. If the students just create their own accounts and are just accessing their own Flowboards to do a presentation like a book report or a report on a state or something like that, then it's still all free. It's kind of the more advanced sharing functions and connecting presentations so they're accessible by more than one person, that then you start getting into the premium / paid options. So we'll go from here now into the other presentation tool, which is HaikuDeck, which is right here. HaikuDeck is even a little bit more simplistic than Flowboard, and it's very narrow in terms of its approach. Its approach is providing text-based presentations with really cool looking backgrounds, where the backgrounds are very much focused on quality images. So for this one, I'm not going through the whole spiel in terms of making it, because it works the same way. It's a series of drag and drop tools, or click on a box and put in the text. But this one I kind of wanted to show you what it looks like. So you can see here that I just have a text box, I've typed this in, and then I select an image. The images are kind of the focus here, because you can see that it's much more of an in-your-face, cool-looking image than just a simple colored background. So taking the approach of an elementary student who maybe wanted to do a report, they can put in very simplistic text here, but still have cool looking backgrounds that make their presentation look a little bit more professional. And again, I'm grabbing on one side, dragging it over to advance to the next slide, and I can throw this up on the screen very quickly. All in all, it took me probably maybe 5 minutes to put together this presentation because it's really limited in terms of what you can do. So once you get the profile set up with the students, again it's profile based, so you have to burn a little time doing that. It's very easy after that. And if you're using this with high school students, it shouldn't take very long at all. If I click on this and I go back to the main menu, again, it works the same way where I add in a title of some kind, hit return, it's going to load my slides, and then you can see up here that I have themes to choose from. Where you get into trouble with Flowboard, or excuse me, HaikuDeck, is you see the little dollar signs up here. You end up purchasing the background. So they give you a few for free, you can see them here, but then you end up purchasing backgrounds if you want a thematic background. This works well for teachers, but not as well for students. Remember though that you're not limited to what's up here, because I can select, I'm going to select this one with the grass here, and then when I start adding things in, I still have the ability to click on the little image button, and then I can do an image search. Now this is kind of the backwards way to do it, because you can see how I'm just searching from scratch here. If I actually go in and add in text first of all, and I said, oops, I was doing a report on monkeys, and now I go, you'll notice that it's already finding images for me. And the ones that are free are the ones that are in their library. And then you can see that some of them are for sale. The reason that these are for sale are because they're pulling them from copyrighted sources. So they do have quite a few though that are free, so I can choose, let's see if I can find one that is good. How about this one? Now all of a sudden I have a very cool background. So you aren't locked into those templates where you have to pay or you only have 2 or 3 to use from. You do still have a lot of options. And then to create another slide, I click the plus button, and here we go again, and I have another slide. And when I go in here, I can change this, and now I have my bullets and I start editing. And anytime I can click the play button up at the top to see what it looks like, and it will load what I have in there so far. Okay, so Flowboard and HaikuDeck, hopefully you try one of those two out, and they work for you either as a teacher presentation tool or as another option for students.